Well, it seems very much that this is indeed yet another moment with a very fragile situation, and locals certainly plunged into yet another moment of great uncertainty as to whether or not we're back to square one. It's difficult to tell at this point. This is clearly a resumption of hostilities, as had been feared by everyone out here. Remember that up until now, the Israeli premier, his Minister of Defense, had warned that every scenario remained on the table, and should rocket fire resume from Gaza, Israel would respond forcefully. The Israeli Minister of Defense had also reminded everyone that Operation Protective Edge, now going into its fifth week, was not over yet, and so troops were ready to act if required to do so. And that is precisely what they have done with, as you mentioned, some 25 airstrikes over the Palestinian enclave from the north to the south. And yet again, these familiar scenes being played out in Gaza, with dozens of families fleeing from their homes or whatever was left of them and heading back to shelters, UN shelters. And on the Israeli side, bomb shelters have also been opened again after having been closed in several cities. So indeed a resumption of hostilities.
Familiar scenes, like you said, where you are, Gallagher, in Israel. But what can we expect the next diplomatic move to be in Cairo?
Very complicated to tell at this point. The Israeli delegation has left Cairo. The Palestinian delegation is warning that it's going to leave as well tomorrow, Wednesday. It seems that we're basically witnessing a complete collapse in the Egyptian-mediated process in terms of what the alternatives are at this point, what options are left. Well, perhaps some sort of tacit agreement between Hamas, the different factions in Gaza, and Israeli forces, that quiet will be met with quiet and fire with fire, meaning that there's no document, no one signs on to anything or makes any promises, at least no written promises, and we're pretty much back to a situation that this region is very familiar with. Again, one where both sides are engaged in a sort of war of attrition, and that is precisely the threat that Hamas had issued all throughout this process.